What's going on, guys? Texas Platinum is back with a Platinum After Dark video. We got Matt Myers and myself tonight. We're going to be talking transfer portal targets that have kind of been blowing up the Twitterverse right now, especially as of today. Obviously, a lot of big targets right now that we're hoping to lure in before the recruiting class for 2022 comes to a head and spring ball begins. So important that we wrap these things up. And obviously we got some pretty big targets that we need to discuss tonight. So we're going to talk about that, as well as we haven't touched on Gary Patterson yet on our channel. So we definitely want to touch on that topic too, with the good possibility that he'll be joining the Texas staff probably as soon as the upcoming week. So with that said, before we get into it, please like, comment, subscribe, all those good things, especially if you're new here. Welcome. This is a pretty fun channel, so be sure to do those things and stay notified about any upcoming videos. We should have a new video actually coming probably tomorrow, maybe later in the week, depends on the editing process, but kind of a fun video ahead, so definitely look for that as well. Matt Myers, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I'm excited about some of these potential transfers that Texas is looking at right now.
Awesome. Well, with that said, let's get into it. Let's kick it off, I guess, because like I said, we haven't discussed him yet, but the man, the myth, the legend, Gary Patterson was just in Austin, I believe last weekend or sometime around that time. I mean, there's been rumors and whispers of Patterson joining the Longhorn staff in some capacity for a while now. Basically, ever since his firing, that chatter has been there. Now, after him visiting and with a weird job posting by the University of Texas, special assistant to the head coach, kind of peculiar. Myers, what do you think about all this? And more importantly, let's discuss. What could Gary Patterson bring to the University of Texas football program?
Yeah, I think it's already, I don't know if it's official or not, but I think Inside Texas posted today that Patterson was in team meetings today, and
yeah,
they're pretty much operating as if he's already on staff. I feel like. So yeah, I mean, this is huge for Texas, huge for Sarkisian, honestly, because I think I mentioned this before, but Patterson's a really decorated head coach. He knows how to run defenses. He knows the Big 12, and he's got a lot of experience, way more than Sark does. So I think it'll be great to help out not only Sark, but Coach K on defense a lot. And then also, I mean, just you're going to get better player development as long as he's assisting with the defense, which he will be. And two, you're going to get better player evaluations out of him, because that was kind of what he was known for, is he's just finding two-star guys, developing them into an NFL player, specifically on defense. So I feel like he's going to help all around. I feel like he's going to have as big of a role as he wants. I don't think the coaches are going to tell him, hey, stay in your lane. I think Patterson's a guy that they'll listen to and they'll take advice from. So I think it's going to be huge for us. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do in the short term and in the long term. I mean, there's some guys, the guy we're about to talk about, Ochaun Mathis, that we probably will get, hopefully, as a result of his relationship with Gary Patterson, which could be huge for us. Ochaun Mathis is a stud. So I'm really excited about it. I think this is, pretty much a grand slam hire without having to hire a new coordinator. You just bring him on staff anyway. So I'm really optimistic about it. I think it'll make a big difference for us.
Before we move on to Ochaun, one kind of final thing about Gary Patterson. How do you personally see him fitting on the staff? And how do you feel like, obviously Gary Patterson's been a head coach for a long time. It's extremely decorated, like you said, with Sark and himself and Coach K. There's a lot of egos, not calling them out or anything, but typically with, especially former head coaches and current head coaches and stuff, and former DCs and current DCs, there's a lot of ego and pride that goes into these jobs, and being able to balance all of those egos into a way that actually benefits the team, I think it'd be tricky at times. I think it's led to the downfall of a lot of teams. You've seen that over the history of college football and NFL football. how do you feel additionally how Texas is able to pull that off in a way that will actually benefit the team? And yeah.
I feel like this is a unique situation where it actually works out well for us because you're right. Most coaches, most coaching staffs would not allow Patterson to come in here and basically undermine or have a big, huge role within the coaching facility. And I think he's going to have a huge role here because, like I've said, he's just a great coach with a lot of experience. But I think the reason it's going to work is because Sark and PK are both not your normal egotistical coaches. I mean, PK is a guy that's taken demotions to keep Jimmy Lake in Washington. He's always not been afraid to take a back seat to better the team, and that's kind of who he is as a head coach, as a defensive coordinator. And I think this will be no difference. I think he'll definitely listen to Patterson and vice versa. I think there's a lot of mutual respect there. And then also Patterson definitely is a fan of Sark's from what I've read. And I mean, Sark's been humbled more than any coach probably.
Yeah.
So I don't think Sark's going to be a guy that's going to look down upon Gary Patterson. So I think it's going to work out nicely. I think, like I said, I think Patterson's going to have a huge role with game prep and self scouting. So I think he'll definitely be able to, help us iron out our issues in practice and all that. But as far as game day, I do think it'll still be PK calling the plays, at least as long as our defense is solid. If our defense goes south, it could be a Greg Robinson situation where you fire PK midseason and then let Gary Patterson call the rest of the plays the rest of the year. So I think it's going to work out well. Patterson actually had this role for Jerry Kill on offense, I believe, where he was like the special assistant to the head coach, where he was helping, day to day, big picture stuff, very influential in like the meetings, coaching meetings, team meetings. But on game days, he didn't really have a huge role. I mean, he didn't really call any plays or anything like that. So I think this will be a similar situation. And then if things get ugly, Patterson may ascend up and do like a full DC role. But hopefully that doesn't have to happen. Hopefully, these little adjustments pay dividends and we start rolling with Patterson as kind of like the vice president of the team, I guess. I guess that's how you could look at it.
Yeah, yeah. I like that. With that said, let's make that transition then. One of Texas's big top transfer targets as of late, with I guess the addition of Gary Patterson, and probably, I mean, he's pretty much a lock at this point from all the reporting that we've read up on. Ochaun Mathis. Speak a little bit to him, Myers. What does he bring to the team in terms of his skill set, his seniority, because he's been playing for a while now, and what additional, I guess, benefits does he bring to this team if he ends up transferring here?
Oh, Ochaun Mathis would be huge for us. He's probably one of the best edge guys in the portal. I know he's not ranked as like the top edge guy. That'd probably be Drew Sanders. But I mean, this dude is just nothing but production. He's a guy he's from Austin. He went to Manor, so Austin area. And he started all 3 years at TCU. He's one of those Gary Patterson gems that is just, he's groomed up into like all Big 12 type player. He has a bunch of sacks. I think he has like 12 sacks over the last couple of years. A lot of tackle for losses. He has like over 120 tackles. And he's a guy that's just, your typical Gary Patterson guy that's going to be productive and end up going in the draft somewhere out of nowhere, a 3-star, low 3-star. So he's a guy that Trevor and I and Matt were talking about it in the group text. Like, I think Ochaun Mathis would probably be our best player on the defense immediately if he came to Texas, just because of the experience he has and the production he has. And he's a good leader too. And he's so I think it'd be a home run for us. I'm super optimistic based on what TFB and Inside Texas and Horns 247 are saying. A bunch of crystal balls came in for him today. I think like 4 or 5. So I think we're sitting in a good spot. But apparently Georgia and Alabama and Ole Miss are going to take their swings at him too. But I think we're looking really good at Ochaun Mathis right now.
Yeah, that's definitely a critical role that bringing him on would definitely help our defense out, because edge in particular we have really lacked on basically since Joseph Osai, and last year in particular it really showed. So that and just the veteran leadership that I think that he'd bring would be very, very beneficial to our team. That and I find it interesting that he's transferring at all, but I guess he got in terms of, the draft review. I guess he got the, the grade of return back to school one more year. So this will be his last year, kind of his last ride to increase his draft stock to the best of his ability before he officially leaves college football for the NFL. So a lot at stake for him as well, personally. So I think it could be a perfect marriage. And I think having Gary Patterson's probably the upper hand. And then also just, Maynard's like right down the road. So, if that is something that appeals to him to be even closer to family than Fort Worth, I think that's definitely there for the taking. Let's move on to a few other players. Mario Williams, kind of an interesting target that has come across Texas's radar. Definitely one that I think none of us even really would have thought we'd have a chance with. Guy decides to transfer out of OU after receiving the Caleb news pretty much at the same time, simultaneously. So for a while, it sounded like, okay, Mario's just going to follow wherever Caleb goes, and they're basically a package deal. But he's been starting to kind of do a few visits, most notably to University of Texas on Tuesday. Players kind of tweeted out a few things, and you got a few eyeball tweets going out on Twitter, and a lot of people have been talking. This guy definitely would bring a lot to the University of Texas team if he ended up signing with Texas and not following Caleb. What do you think about Mario Williams as a player and as a possibility that we'd even get him in the first place?
Yeah, it's super shocking. I mean, it seemed like USC, Caleb Williams and Mario Williams, USC was a slam dunk.
Yeah.
But apparently they visited it and they weren't that, or at least Caleb wasn't that impressed with the facilities and everything. So
Caleb wasn't, or Mario wasn't?
Caleb wasn't, but
oh, wow.
I mean, that affects Mario in a way. Yeah, I think a Georgia reporter was saying that, and a couple other people were saying that, which is interesting because it just seems like a slam dunk. And I'm sure that Caleb still ends up at USC, but I guess it kind of tap the brakes there. But then Mario Williams comes out and says he's a package deal pretty much with Caleb. They want to play together. So it's interesting how he ends up at Texas on a visit. And apparently he wants to keep his baseball career going from Inside Texas. I think they reported that. So Texas baseball is also in on this recruitment as well. David Pierce and them are trying to get Mario Williams on somehow involved with the program, which is a good sign. So maybe he wants to come and play at the best baseball school in the country. I think we're ranked 1 in preseason, and historically we're the best. So maybe that appeals to him. But I think this is a situation where, like we've said in previous videos, like Texas needs to milk being the villain, recruit as the villain, because think about it, it'd be kind of a cool story to say you went and played at OU and then you transferred to their rival who everybody hates, Texas, and started going off for them. I think that'd be cool, like, Darth Vader type stuff. And a lot of these kids would like that. So I think the staff needs to definitely utilize that in some of these recruitments, particularly this one. But Mario Williams, the player, I mean, he was almost a 5-star last year, really good as a freshman, super fast. He'll easily be our best receiver besides Worthy, like immediately on the roster. So yes, absolutely. You got to take him. You got to do all you can to get him a big NIL deal, get Mario Williams to Texas. But yeah, I don't know how likely it is, but the fact that he visited is, I mean, it definitely makes you raise your eyebrow. So hopefully, I mean, that'd be a slam dunk. That'd be huge for us. So fingers crossed that we can actually pull the rabbit out of the hat on this one.
Yeah, definitely. Having him and Worthy team up, I think, would be fireworks. Having them both on the outsides, not opposing each other, but on the opposite of each other, I think could really work out. Let's now move on to a couple of Alabama targets. Obviously, these guys weren't being talked about too much because Alabama was playing in the national championship. But right after that game, these two players are entering into the portal, and Texas has from what we can tell, has a pretty good shot at both of them. And these are both very high ceiling guys. Let's first start with the guy that you mentioned earlier, probably the best edge rusher in the portal, and Drew Sanders, who 5-star linebacker from Denton Ryan, that has kind of been because of the Alabama factor. He's been at the bottom, near the bottom of the depth chart, but I mean, he's a 5-star type of guy. And, um, you know, he just has, these elite linebackers and edge rushers, above him at the moment. So he's looking to the portal, I guess, just to try to get some more early playing time rather than waiting his turn, which I certainly respect. What do we think about him, Myers? Do you think Texas has a good shot at landing him? And what would he bring?
Yeah, Drew Sanders is legit. He'd be huge for us. I mean, PK's defense is predicated on good edge rushers. So if you get Sanders and Mathis, that'll definitely kind of make the defense start. The wheels will start turning a little bit better, I feel like. So yeah, Sanders is I mean, 5-star from Denton Ryan, like you said. He's a guy that he played a good amount earlier in the season for Bama, particularly in the Florida game. He had some good plays, I thought, and I like his film a lot. I mean, he's very disruptive on the edge. Bama fans will tell you that he doesn't have good bend. You have to be an edge rusher. They kind of wanted to move to tight end, but from the highlights I've seen, and especially in high school, he looked like a really natural edge rusher with good get off. So, I mean, that'd be huge for us. He'd definitely be our best player on the roster. I mean, best edge on the roster, him or Mathis, one of the two, if we get them. But yeah, man. I mean, the reason that he wasn't playing at Bama that much is because he was sitting behind Will Anderson and
Yeah.
Dallas Turner on the edges. So, yeah, you're not going to beat those guys out. Obviously, those are like the two of the best in the nation. He'd start pretty much everywhere else. I think he did have a thumb injury this year, which kind of hampered his growth. But I mean, he played a lot on special teams as a freshman and as a sophomore. And he's from Texas, but I think we have a good chance of getting him. Apparently, he's going to visit Arkansas and Oklahoma too. I think we have the last visit, which is could be a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, some of these schools are smart and they try to get him to shut it down there on campus and not see out the rest of the visit. So hopefully it makes it to Texas on Friday. But there's a lot of confidence there from Texas. It seems like we did get a crystal ball for him. So hopefully we get him. I'm definitely way more confident about Mathis than I am Sanders, but either one would be huge for us. If you get both, I really think that'll add like at least 1 or 2 wins to our team total next year. Like honestly, that's going to be so huge for our defense. Our D line and our edge was such a big issue for us. And if you get these two guys, I think it'll really help the defense just work a lot better, and it'll affect different levels of the defense because a pass rush will make your linebackers look better, your safeties look better, your corners look, everything will look better if you have a good pass rush. So fingers crossed that we get him.
Agreed. Excellent points there. Last big target that we have right now, also from Alabama, Jaleel Billingsley, tight end, wide receiver, kind of plays a little bit of both. He's going to be going into his senior season. Definitely a very talented player. I know going into this season, a lot of people really had him as a potential, big watch type of target that a lot of people envisioned was going to kind of break out and be a star. Didn't quite happen for him this season. And Nick Saban in a press conference he didn't throw him under the bus, but he definitely set him straight, where apparently the guy just hasn't been, meeting standards in practice and not giving, enough effort, at least by Nick Saban standards. Of course, those are very high standards. But guy has immense talent, big size, kind of, like I said, he can be a receiver, he could be a tight end, a little bit of both. It's kind of one of those modern, tight end type of players that definitely would add on to the tight end room at the University of Texas, because with Wiley departing, we got a lot of really talented guys in the tight end room, but not a lot of proven guys. So right from the jump, adding a veteran guy like Billingsley would be huge. So Myers, let me know your thoughts. What do you think about Billingsley? What do you bring to Texas? How good of a shot do you think we have at him? And yeah.
I mean, I saw some Texas fans saying that Billingsley's not worth a take for us because our tight end room's stacked, or
please,
he didn't do well at Bama last year. You can play him at tight end or wide receiver. Either way, he's our second best receiving threat immediately. I mean, we're that thin at receiver. Yeah. And our tight ends while there's some young promise there with Jatavian, Juan Davis, and Gunnar Helm, there's no like proven commodities, especially in the passing game. none at all. So Billingsley would be huge for us. Yeah, like Troy O'Meary, they kind of have similar builds, similar play style.
They're
And
very comparable.
yeah, Billingsley is at least a sure thing to not be injured because O'Meary's had horrible injury luck. So I definitely think he's a take, and the staff's definitely after him. I mean, it just makes sense. I mean, he had his breakout year 2 years ago with Sark. You know, when Sark put on that great offense and with all
Hmm.
those talented studs, Billingsley really started popping off then, and then this year he kind of takes a huge step back when Sark and Jeff Banks are gone, the tight end coach. So um, it just I think Texas makes the most logical sense here. I don't know if he wants to transfer closer to home because I believe he's from Chicago or what, but I feel like if he's going pure football production, I think Texas would clearly be the spot to be for him. So I think we're in a good spot here, but honestly, I don't know. I don't know his thought process. It's not as clear cut to me as Drew Sanders and O'Shawn Mathis. So we'll have to wait and see. But I mean, initial thoughts, I feel like Texas could definitely win out for Billingsley. I think we probably have the most going for us out of most schools right now. So I'm confident, and I would love to have him. I mean, boom, that'd be huge for us in our offense and Quinn Ewer. So hopefully we get him too.
Yeah, kind of to wrap up these targets in particular, of these four guys, who do you think one we have best standing for? Who do you think we have least best standing for? And do you think there's an opportunity that we can clear plate and we can get all of these guys?
Okay, so I would say that I'd rank them. I'll rank them for you. I'd like as far as most likely, I'd say number one is definitely O'Shawn Mathis. I don't think I'm gonna be able to disagree with that. Number
Yeah,
two, I would probably say, honestly, I'd say Jaleel Billingsley. I think that's
really.
just a natural fit for him. Yeah, with Sark and Jeff Banks, and I remember posters speculating about it before, like midway through the season, there were rumors that he was going to come to Texas. So I think this may have been his plan all along to enter the portal and go back with Sark and Banks when the season ended. But I could be wrong, but I just have a gut feeling that Billingsley will end up at Texas. So I'll put him at two. Drew Sanders, number three. As long as he visits Texas, I feel good, but I am kind of nervous that Arkansas or OU, Brent Venables will get him to
Hmm.
come off that timeline, just commit on the spot to one of these schools. So uh, I'll put him at three. And then number four, Mario Williams, least likely. That's just a bizarre visit to Texas, but hey, stranger things have happened. So it seems like he's going to follow Caleb Williams, but if he doesn't, I feel like Texas could offer him a great spot to put up huge yards and play at a big time brand. A lot of NIL money at Texas, so I think that would also be a good option for him. So I'd put Mario Williams at four.
Awesome. Kind of to wrap up this video, Texas had a few kind of big misses in the transfer portal. Fortunately, we got a lot of these, guys that we just talked about right now. But prior to this, had a few swings and misses with Nayor and Reed. Talk a little bit about, like why you think Texas missed and what it means that we weren't able to get these two targets.
Yeah, Isaiah Nayor hurts because he's a Texan and he's a guy that we kind of waited too long on. He's just a stud at Wyoming as a freshman, put up huge numbers, but he ends up going with Tennessee out of the blue, really. But it's really because we offered too late. If we had been in on that recruitment from the get go, as soon as he entered the portal, I feel like Texas could have definitely landed him. But he's going to join Josh Heupel's offense, which will be definitely electric with him in there. So that one hurts, but we definitely need to upgrade at receiver. So hopefully Mario Williams or somebody else, maybe a JoJo Earl, emerges as
Mm.
a Texas target in the portal. Devontae Reed, that one's kind of weird too because we were in on that one on time right when he entered the portal. Texas offered, but I forget where he signed, but it wasn't Texas. So I don't know. I really don't know what happened there. But that guy wasn't really like a huge. I mean, he's a good player and all, but he's not like a Brandon Joseph, a guy that's just like super talented that you can't miss. So that one doesn't hurt too much because he's just a solid player from Central Michigan. I feel like he's definitely replaceable, but Nayor definitely hurts. That's a game changer that we just fumbled the bag on, it seemed like. So those are our two prominent misses, but uh, based on what we're seeing now, I feel like the staff may have some backup or some plans already in the works, which cause them to kind of, not focus overly on these type of early portal entries and kind of play the long game. So we'll see how the dust settles over the next couple of weeks, because I think in the next couple of weeks, everybody will have landed where they're supposed to, and we'll have a lot more clarity.
Yeah. To wrap this up, any kind of final thoughts you have? Any other transfer portal targets that we should kind of know about, or any final thoughts or concluding thoughts to the topic of transfers?
Yeah, just two things, not really a huge deal. Just want to kind of throw them in there. Is Noah Cain entered the portal today
I saw
from
that.
Penn State, running back. If you remember, Tom Herman definitely fumbled the bag on that recruitment back in 2019. The actual story for that's actually hilarious. If you can go find it, I think Mike Roach posted it back in the day. But I don't think Texas would go after him. I think we're great at running back, so it'll be fun to see where he ends up at though. And then also Jalen Kimber, the Georgia Bulldogs defensive back. He's from Texas. He's a guy that Texas really wanted out of when they were recruiting him, but Georgia and their boosters got it on him and got him to Georgia. But now he's entering the portal. We're thin at corner and safety. So I mean, I don't know if it's so early to tell if the staff's going to be in on that, but that'd be a great player to target in my opinion. But other than that, I don't really see any familiar names that Texas would be after. But I mean, it's so fluid right now, so we'll see. I'm sure new stuff will come up in the next couple of days.
Good stuff. Any final thoughts before we wrap up this video?
No, man, I'm just ready to get some of these guys on campus in burnt orange. I mean, we got to repair this roster, especially on defense. Offense is looking really good for next year. Defense needs some help, and receiver needs some help. So hopefully we get some of these guys on the edge, Mario Williams at receiver or some other good receiver, because it's free agency now, so you can rebuild a team pretty quickly, way quicker than you used to. So if we play our cards right, hopefully we get a good roster that can challenge for the Big 12, at least appear in the Big 12 title next year, because it's pretty wide open. So hopefully we keep making good moves with our personnel and everything.
Well said. Well said. Well, thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Please, like I said at the beginning of the video, drop us a like, leave a comment about your thoughts, and definitely subscribe if you're new here and haven't done so already. Yeah, be on the lookout. We got another video coming. It'll probably be either sometime tomorrow or in the upcoming days. But it was a fun one that Myers and I definitely enjoyed. And if you're a Texas fan that really is passionate about particular topics regarding to Texas, not going to give too many hints, but it'll be a good video. So definitely be on the lookout for that, and make sure you got your notifications on and you are subscribed. So with all that said, y'all take care. Hope you enjoyed this one, and hook 'em.